Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ginger Broderick. I'm the host of the Ginger New York TV show. Welcome to Ginger Fridays here at M&M TV Studios. We are live here in this new studio on West 38th Street. We are back now doing our show on a regular basis. And who do I have in today? One of our previous guests, her name is Emma Zakravicius, and she has relocated to Australia, her home country, but she is visiting us here in New York City and is back for an interview and to talk about your new album that's being released. Welcome so much,
Thank you so
Emma.
much for having me again. Nice to see you.
And you brought your friend, Roger Stoltz. You're the producer-arranger. And I understand you're a drummer, so
That's
welcome.
correct.
Everyone knows I love drummers and guitarists and vocalists and keyboardists and
Creatives.
creatives. Yes,
Creatives.
yes. I work with them professionally, and I also love having them here on the show. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
This is I think is the third time you've come to Ginger, New York.
Yes.
We met at the bitter end probably 10 years ago.
Yes.
And it's still there, which is great. And we happened to sit at the same table
We did.
watch the performance of our mutual friend Law.
Yes. Amazing, as always.
Yes, and as we were talking, I found out that you were a singer, vocalist, musician. Do you consider yourself a musician? I'm sorry.
No.
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 We were talking about it
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, we were having.
You're a vocalist.
Well, we were discussing modes of creativity, and I think sometimes people want to put you in a category, but I feel like in general I am an artist, even though I don't like that term necessarily. I feel like it could have negative connotations. But music is one form of my creativity, which I have spent a lot of time on. But I was trained as a visual artist. I also did a lot of critical theory writing, so I've done a lot of writing and art thinking throughout my life. But it all kind of feeds into the music as well, the writing, so it's all kind of together, I think. Painting pictures, telling stories.
And we had an opening like within a week, and you said yes, you'd come to the show, and you brought a couple of your friends. Sandrina?
Yeah, Zandrina, Little Sexy, and the Church of Al Craig, who has since unfortunately passed.
That's so sad.
We were collaborators for 5, 6, 7 years and did a lot of work together. So he lives on through our music. And we did a stripped down version of Big Sexy Music at the time, and it was one of the best performances I think we've ever done. It was just worked, didn't it?
It was a very exciting day.
It was
Very colorful day too.
Yep.
We'll roll in a few pictures so you can see what we looked like when we were young.
The golden years. The golden years. We still look good.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
have a long way to go.
Yeah, we still look good. We're good.
There's a lot to
We're
do.
not grandmas yet, though most of my friends
Not
are.
yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
That's
No, I
wonderful.
hope.
And you met Roger Stoltz. Apparently, you've known each other from the Sidewalk Cafe. Is that correct?
We've been in the circles of the same scenes for quite a few years.
That's right. In bands,
Yep.
playing at Sidewalk
Isn't that something?
There's a very strong, there was and is,
and autos.
a lot of Lower East Side kind of bands that we all got together very regularly, so it was quite a strong crowd still now.
Oh yeah.
Alan
very
Merrill
strong.
was part of that.
Alan
Sidewalk.
Merrill.
The Sidewalk Cafe isn't open.
No, still.
No.
But most people go to Otto's, Shrunken Ed now?
Autos and Parkside.
Parkside.
Yeah, Parkside is still very much active.
It's dispersed a little bit with some of the venues closing, but the group remains tight. You know, we all know each other for years and years and years. But
That's
yeah,
wonderful. You've done a few performances since you've been back in New York, and I knew you were at Shrine,
Yep.
and I got to see you at Otto's,
you did.
and that was really, really exciting for Crazy Mary,
Crazy
right?
Mary.
You were a vocalist for Crazy Mary,
Yes.
and Sandrina has now stepped into that role, and you were a guest for that
Yeah,
performance that night.
it was interesting because, you know, as being the lead singer for so long, to kind of not have the responsibility to do the whole show almost. Like she did half of it, I did half of it. It was kind of nice to just relax a bit.
Yeah.
But also, it is weird sharing a dual role, I realized as well. Like, used to being the lead and kind of handing it over a little bit was also kind of like, hold on, But it's so nice to see Zandrina take the lead. She's such an amazing singer.
Oh, wonderful performance.
Oh, and she's such a wonderful person. And I'm so glad that in my absence that, Charles and my band can enjoy, performing with her and
Charles Keibel.
Keibel, yep. And Zandrina wrote a couple songs on their last album, and it was the first album that she had ever lead sung on. So it was really beautiful to hear her evoke.
Voice.
Yeah, like it was the album's so good. It's called Onto Your Plane, and she just did such a great job. It's one of their best albums. Yeah.
That was a wonderful show. I'm so glad that I was able to see it. And I was surprised with the horn section, but then realized that I never saw Crazy Mary perform before.
We've been together for 16 years, and
Wow.
the band, the core of the band, has been together for longer than that even. But I've been singing with them for 16, and then the horn players started. They kind of drifted in, several years ago. I think Mac, the horn player, I had gone to see a couple of his shows because he played with James Chance, who has also passed away. Punk saxophone player, very punk. So I was really into James Chance, and I met him through Robert Aaron, the saxophone player. So when I had gone to see Mac play, the trumpet player, a few times with James, he told me about his solo shows, so I started going to his solo shows, and then he ended up coming out to some of my shows, and he'd just sort of bring his horn and start playing with big sexy music, and then he transferred over to Crazy Mary. So it's kind of all like, everyone's been swirling together for a long time, very organically.
And you mentioned Aaron.
Robert Aaron, yes.
You mentioned Robert Aaron.
He was the first musician I met in 2003 when I was studying at the New York Studio School of Painting, Drawing and Sculpture, where I had received a scholarship to study there for a summer. I was living with this amazing artist, Arlene Schloss, who was an experimental artist who was very much into John Cage and chance operations, and she was very, very ahead of her time. But on the way home, I'd go to a cafe run by this African man, Nzomo. He was he was cool, but that's where I met Robert Aaron. He was playing the piano one day, and I was just like, who is this guy? Amazing. And then that night, they invited me to a underground kind of get together, and said they were doing voodoo. So I was like, oh, I'll be there. And that's where I met him, and I was just enamored with him. He's so amazing.
He's played with quite a few musicians himself.
He's played with Bowie and the Stones and Wyclef Jean, and he's amazing.
Wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
yeah, it was
So much talent in the Lower East Side.
Oh yeah.
so much talent.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
And you can just meet on any given night. You can see such amazing performances, and then you're one-on-one. You can approach people and just have and suddenly you're playing music with them, and
It's wonderful.
there's so many interweavings of story. I think that's one thing I've realized since I've been back is just like the magnitude of the web and how you're like a little piece of it, but like it's so.
Do you find that in Australia?
Oh God, no.
No.
Well, I've been in my lounge room for 6 years, so raising my child and didn't really have the opportunity to go out.
Got it.
But that's where this kind of album sprung from, was the desire to create, but maybe not having access to all the musicians. But the impetus is obviously still there, and then just sort of scooching off into the home studio and getting some stuff out.
Did you know when you were writing this that you were going to launch an album, or were you just doing this as a creative outlet for you?
I never thought I was going to release it necessarily, because it seemed too personal. The album is called Baby Mama Drama, so it's I have a child. I'm the baby mama. I'm also the drama, and I was just having an ongoing conversation in my head, like a one-sided conversation that I needed to, I guess, just get out. So. Yeah, it was more like I'd have some kind of rhythm or melody in my head, or some kind of lyric, and suddenly I think, oh, I just got to quickly record that, and that's where I get my hooks or whatever. It usually starts out as a dialogue, like I keep on saying the same thing over and over, and that will be the start of a song. I did purposely write the first song, which is called the theme of the song album, Baby Mama Drama, which was called Rise Up.
Rise Up
It was
was
called
the
Rise
original
Up.
name. That's right.
So I was
that's
like,
right.
I didn't want to get stuck in the drama. I wanted to be like coming out of the drama. So yeah, I wrote the song Rise Up, which was kind of about my frustrations, about my situation. And it's about accountability and questioning and all that sort of stuff. It was really what I wanted to say to the other. And I was actually going through some of my paperwork last night because I'm packing to go back to Australia, all my stuff and all my years.
Thanks for taking your time to come in
thank
the
you.
day before
No,
you're leaving.
I really wanted to do this. And as I was reading through, I got papers everywhere and lyrics and all that sort of stuff and writing. And I found some writing about my music, actually. And it was all about the creative space. But it was also about, it was about what kind of space you need to create. But it was about the ode to the other. Like all my albums, I think, and this album especially, it's always I'm dedicating it to the other, whoever the other might be, and it might be several people. But that I think art is that desire to communicate and have a dialogue, and there's always someone there that I'm trying to talk to, I guess. So I think it changes over time, who you're directing it at. But that's where that kind of came from. Maybe a frustration, but also the desire to express. And I feel like songwriting and making songs may be, as I said to you on the phone the other day, the only place where you can be honest and express yourself maybe a little bit more freely than you can in polite society, because people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear you complaining. They don't want to hear something that might be a little bit emotional. They don't want to hear it. So, but if you can kind of package it in a way that's a bit more digestible.
And also a release for you.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think about Kanye, right? And I think about Kanye quite a bit because he's, out there. But also on his recent album, I listened to it because it got so much, it was so politically incorrect. But when I listened to it, I just thought, he's really just going for it and expressing himself freely without any constraints, which is rare, I think. Maybe not Kanye, but just having that platform to be expressive without someone going, well, you shouldn't think that, and you shouldn't say that, and you shouldn't feel that. And as I said, the kind of desire to write about these things was, I discuss my feelings about my situation, and people would say, well, you should feel blessed, and it's, you chose to do this and you did that, and it's all my fault, or I'm not allowed to feel negative about my situation. But I feel like, as emotional beings, we have a gamut of emotions that can be adhered to one situation. Doesn't always have to be positive, or that can live together. So I think that's important to express those things, because it's not, we all have a universal kind of experience on some level or another, So give voice to that. And
so it was basically this process, song by song by song by song. So
yeah, I mean, I'd get a little rhythm. I'd run off, while I was cooking dinner or something, and have a 5-minute window and just record the melody.
Oh wow!
And then maybe after Lucas, my son, went to bed, I'd get the computer out and maybe work on the melody. And then I think, I don't like, the tone or the key or whatever, and then I'd start playing around with that. And then once I had kind of a topic, which was all the same topic, but different chapters of the same journey, then I'd sort of work out what the theme was for that song, and then I'd write all the lyrics. I like to write lyrics as playfully and succinctly as possible, so that they're playful, they're catchy, but also they're very meaningful and impactful. So I try and kind of sort that out, and then I'd try and do a couple takes as quickly as possible before you lose it, and then work on the harmonies after that. And so once I kind of had it together, but again, I never thought I was going to share it. So I had
Interesting.
40 vocal tracks, and then when we started working together, he's like, send me the tracks. I'm
Quite
like,
a collection
I was
of
like,
tracks.
oh, God.
I was going to ask now, when did he come into the scene?
So I had probably I had a couple more songs I had maybe 15 songs, and they were at a point where I'd been mixing them for about a year, and I'm completely over it. And then I was writing to our mutual friend, they're in a band together, Anne Hussick, and she organised a lot of shows in the Lower East Side for us, and I talk to her about music stuff all the time. She's, you know, she's old school, new school, and very cool chick, you know. So she knows a lot, and she's a great musician.
Great writer.
Great writer, great musician. So she was like, you know, I said, oh, I think I'm just going to get them mastered and be done with it. She said, oh, how much are they charging? I was like, this much. She said, no way, that's way too much. So she said, Roger's looking for a project. And then I said, oh, that'd be cool. And then within 3 minutes, Roger had messaged me. He's like, oh, hey, you got a project. And he was ready to go. So then we started communicating quite regularly, and, you know, he said, oh, can you send, we worked out a sort of method where I had to export, you know, all the individual files and, you know, the vocals, the drum, the blah, blah, blah.
Oh, interesting.
In every...
I was wondering what the process is, because you're half a world away, or
So we had a Dropbox.
Okay.
We had like downloaded everything. First I had to go through and edit and export everything. Like that took quite a long time. Because I had, as I said, like 12,000 vocal tracks, and then I had to go and do some editing, and then I'd send it to him and bombard him. And
Editing, and you did mixing too.
I did a lot of mixing.
I mean, there were certain songs that came to me completed, and like the very first song that I tried my hand at, I couldn't really improve. And I was listening to it today.
Oh, yeah.
The original mix that she had done.
What
over
song was
time.
that?
Hold On.
Hold On.
It opens, and I still think that
I sent it to you.
her mix is the best mix of them all. Although there's some issues that we have to fix if we were ever going to use it. But really, and I realized at that point that she had insight into these loops. Because that's one of the things, you know. How did she work? She worked with loops.
Lots
She
of loops.
drummed lots of loops, and I had never really worked with loops before. I was a live music kind of guy. You play your part, you know, put it together that way. So, yeah, loops was an interesting way to approach this. And she had worked deeply into these mixes and caught an energy out of these things that I just couldn't equal. I just couldn't, and I really questioned what I was going to do. And then the next song came along. And that's when I started hearing things. It's like, oh yeah, well, you know what? We could add a bass line to this, and I think it would sound pretty cool. So I'd add a bass line, send it to her. She liked it.
Oh, first I'd listen to it and go,
Oh, wow, yeah, what is he doing?
and then I'd be like, oh, I'm at work, I can't address this now. Because I get very obsessed. So I'm listening to it, no, I can't get here now, I've got to go work. And then I'd listen to it in the car, and then I'd write to him, and
Yeah, you gave me feedback, but generally, the more I put in.
Was it your bass
more-
line that you actually did?
Yeah, I would
okay.
I would hear lines.
it was doing MIDI. And
filling in the gaps, what I heard as gaps. But like some of these songs I didn't hear, I don't hear anything to add. Hold on, how am I going to add to that? You know, but a number of them I did hear things, and then over time
He heard
flood.
more. He heard more and more.
I heard more and more of these voices from where do they come
I would
from?
say.
But it was very exciting for me because I realized that I was actually composing. I had the little keyboard here, and I'd be listening to her thing. I'd be trying to figure out what key it's in. You know, what
We were both trying to figure that out.
And then I was trying to, I know, right? And then I was like, well, how am I going to do like, you know, a 5-to-1? How am I going to do a progression? How are we going to reach points of arrival with these things? I mean, there was basic structure, but it was like a poem, kind of,
They are.
set to a rhythm, and it's danceable and everything. But it's like, well, where are the chord changes, and how would melodies and lines interweave with something like this? Where are the points of arrival, you know, for resolution, and where do you have to build it up? Where's the, you know, all the, where's the energy go? You know, those are all things that fascinated me. They always have.
Interesting.
Motion and energy and music, and as a drummer, that's like one of my main things. You know, when I hear energetic drummers, I get really excited. I hear they're really contributing to it. And then as you know, one of the things that I think as a drummer is that drummers have a lot of control with a band. control kind of the aperture of energy that's passing through, you know,
Definitely.
that's being heard, and you have a lot of control on that by what you do. That's always been
You have
kind
to
of an
keep the time,
amazing.
yeah.
Oh, you have
Sure.
to keep the. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's another problem because, you know, my time wasn't always great, but you know, you get excited and then you rush and things.
Yeah,
like
I
that,
was
you know.
listening to a conversation of a couple of drummers, and one mentioned that he had, you know, a device that kept him in check because, like you said,
Sure.
you get so excited,
Oh, yeah.
and then you speed up the whole band.
Well,
and
and,
it
and
gets too
then
fast.
in-the-ear monitors are how all these bands are doing their live shows now. And there's usually a click track or a rhythm track, like a shaker or something like that. But you know, U2's whole program is all thought out, mapped out, and there's the rhythm track there that you know is easy to play along with, easy to catch on to, and everybody can be in the same groove at the same time. So it makes a lot of sense. Anyway.
And the tracks that I had chosen, however I was attracted to them, some of them were just in metronomic kind of, but others I would listen to the beat and go, oh. And then suddenly something might come from that. So sometimes I would write the lyrics first and come and find a beat, but sometimes I'd find a beat and go, oh, I just start vamping. But I think as Roger mentioned, the beauty of this collaboration was I kind of handed him a very intricate black and white sketch, I would call it, with lots of shades of grey. So, but the beauty of Roger's input, apart from having an exceptional ear, and I think that's really important to have, as a musician, a good ear. And for recording, I have a very good ear. Just, you know, for yeah, my sonic ear is very good.
I'll second that.
But he kind of took this black and white sketch and really made sort of like a Technicolor landscape and very colourful. And as he was mentioning, like these progressions, so he'd build it up into, so there were distinct sections, because obviously using a loop is never changes. And we would have different parts, I had already created different parts within the song structure, but he kind of pushed it way further and created an emotional landscape for it to exist in. Before it was kind of more of an internal landscape, but he kind of created this other landscape to walk through almost, the songs were able to live in. And also he created a tension, like my lyrics, even though the way I sing it is quite playful, the lyrics are pretty moody, but the way he created some of these parts was so, the antithesis, it was so
Yeah.
like,
I think
so
that's
happy.
that's one of the things. I was listening to some of these things, and my God, there's so much anger here.
Oh, well, frustration. I like to call it.
Frustration. Okay, well. Or frustration with a lot of energy.
Energy.
Yeah. Remember?
energetic frustration.
Yeah. Charged. Yeah. So I would hear that and I was like, oh my God. And then of course, you had some, some voices in here too.
Oh, I did.
And at the time, I didn't know really who those voices were, and I didn't want to get, in trouble. So,
I had,
right, by, making it too. So I backed off. I mean, I thought, well, wait a minute.
I had some samples.
We
and stuff.
it needed some balance, and I knew how to sort of lighten it up. I don't think I ruined anything.
No.
If anything, it was more of
you
a
did,
satirical edge to it, I think. That was my intention. Anyway, it sounds playful, but indeed, the...
What's that process to take something that sounds angry to something that's more playful? I don't quite understand that.
Right.
He would just add sort of like piano and whatever lines that sounded very like, kind of like.
Did you have
a little
to-
more light, sort of a little more lighthearted. Everything has to be simple.
Did she have to redo her
No.
song?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, there were a few,
Like, say
She-
you're in a bad mood and you're singing. That would be different on a day when you're happy.
I was kind of
Right.
surprised that she didn't get mad at me.
no, he
It was
did.
like,
Well, he did
what
sort
are you
of be like,
doing?
"Can you add another verse onto this song? It's too short."
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
There
like,
were a lot
"Oh
of things like
God,
that.
no." But
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And then we actually
We did
back
a
and
lot of
forth
work.
about it a lot for the whole time. Oh, I don't think we need it. Well, we should leave it.
okay.
Oh, we're gonna add it. We're not gonna add
Yeah.
it. We're gonna add it. We're
Are
not.
these typing messages, or are you on the phone talking?
Both.
Yeah.
Oh, we were video So
okay.
we did a video chat like once a week, once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, we were quite. I try not to
nice.
because of the time difference.
Yes.
Try not to bombard him when I'm downloading at night, because I know that he's just about to wake up, and you probably don't want like 18 chapters of my neuroses coming in first thing in the morning. So actually, a lot of the time he would send me something, and because I had listened to it so long without any of his additions, they would always stand out to me, obviously.
Okay.
And I'd have to kind of go, oh, do I like that? And then I think, no. But then, instead of, because usually I just react, directly. But then I thought, because of the time difference too, I had a time to sit with it a bit, and then go, actually, I think I do like it. And then I kind of like listen to it more objectively, not so subjectively, and then I go, okay. And then I might write a whole bunch of notes to him, but then when he woke, I wouldn't send it. And then he would wake up and I go, do I need to send this? No. I just wipe it all off and go, oh, this sounds great. Let's just, and next time we talk, maybe we'd have a chat about it. But
Okay.
it would be more like, there was nothing I had vetoed.
No, that was the amazing thing. I mean, you were very open to the ideas that I was having, and like, honestly, it was liberating for me to be able to, come up with some of these lines and some of these ideas and integrate them into something it's like you said, a black and white. I'm adding something else to it, and I just realized I had a lot of freedom, and that was the freedom that I needed to sort of discover, who I am more musically. So this was a year of discovery for me. Wonderful. I mean, it's been really wonderful and very helpful to me, just in my life, period. Because I've been able to, break out and do different kinds of things than just, not that just being a drummer is too limiting. It's not.
But you have other ideas.
I have all these ideas, yeah, and I listen to all this music that
especially as an arranger, right?
Yeah, exactly, and there's certain things I like to hear, and I would like to hear in this music, So it was like, and she was very grateful and open to these ideas.
Well,
And,
I was just flattered, I think, that he liked the songs. I hadn't let anyone listen to them. And he validated me very heavily that, it was a worthy project. And I also loved, obviously, that he was in New York and bringing that energy, and he was always going out to see all different sorts of music and appreciate all sorts of music. And you can hear that in there, because there's a complexity in there that obviously wouldn't be there if it was just some loops going around and around. So I feel like there's definitely, throughout the album too, a progression of narrative, but also in each song there is that sort of musical progression as well. So there's kind of like that emotional and the musical, because they are very lyric driven and melody, like the melody of the lyrics. And because I didn't have anything other than kind of my lyrics, very full of words, and then we kind of started taking some stuff out.
The harmonies are spectacular, and I didn't change any of them. I tried to draw from them. Because very much there's a lot of information in those harmonies that I took and I tried to take advantage of. So that was great, and I love harmony, and I love the human voice. I love when people sing together. I love choirs. I just always have, and here I was getting stems of a choir pretty much, and I think a lot of insight.
Because of the nature of doing something on your own and having that time to not have to produce something or not have to like be part of the band and record with them, or it's on your own terms. So as I told you on the phone, I did a lot of it just in my cupboard, because I have a setup in there, and not in the cupboard, but it's the setup's in the cupboard, and it was just in not even a treated room. It was naturally reverberant, and I just and then with the harmonies, I just go in there and warble around until I found something that sounds good. I think the harmonies probably took the longest, because you're trying to find something. You don't know what you're quite looking for.
You can hear the
progression.
You're exploring.
And then I'll go in, because I'm very specific about what I want to hear in my voice too. Like there's a certain tone I don't like some high pitched stuff. So I'd be like, you got to turn that down, or, but yeah, the discovery of harmonies is always kind of interesting, because you're in there making this god awful noise until you hit that one note and you go, oh, that's it. But you can't, sometimes you can't find it until you just yell a lot, or
Yeah.
try and find it.
And actually, you made the process a lot easier because she would do some mix downs herself of just the vocals.
Yeah.
And instead of me trying to, wrestle 8 different vocal lines
I would do a
together,
comp for him.
she would do a comp for me, and then I just start using the
interesting.
comp.
And that was actually,
and that helped a lot.
and that was one of my other collaborators, Frank Ocasio from the Brothers, and our band that we've had together for several years. And he and I speak very regularly as well because he keeps me kind of pumped to be awesome. But we're always talking about mixing and music and sound, and he was like, I said, talking about the harmonies. He goes, do a comp. Send him a comp. Then he won't have to do it, and you'll have it exactly how you want it. And I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
And he's given me quite a few tips about recording. He's, as a musician, you have like your skill, you have your craft, which writing, singing, whatever. But recording is its own skill. And I studied sound recording, and I studied for film, so not for music necessarily. But again, it's all the kind of systems are the same. They have the same,
you know how to edit.
But you have to have the ear.
And
It's
and
really
you have
about
sense
having
of
a good
balance.
ear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I can hear everything. So,
Do you have a favorite song on your album?
oh God, I have heaps.
It's like your favorite child.
Well, the Things Change
Things change.
was an interesting one because that one came together so fast. She sent me the stems, and I think it was the next day that I sent you the version that we're still using, that we just haven't been able to really improve. I have done little things to it, but I think it was version 3 or something like that was just like done. And you said you couldn't stop listening to it, and I couldn't stop listening to it.
Still one of my favorites.
Still, when it comes on, it's like
And
there's some magic here.
another love song.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
another love song. Some of these songs I really became obsessed with. I mean, I would work on these things like all
By
day.
some, you mean all.
Yeah, well,
And I think
To a degree, yeah.
it's
Do
kind
you
of.
keep track of the hours that you put in on this
No.
project?
Oh my God, he's put in so many.
no. No.
Countless. Couldn't half a year, like solid 12 hours at a time.
Well, part of it is
Really?
I'm learning how to do this too. I mean, I didn't go to school for this. I just sort of picked it up. And there are a lot of tools working with a computer. You have these plugins, and I'm working with a new digital audio workstation that I had never worked with before. So I had to learn all this stuff, sort of, and I'm still learning stuff.
And we use
today.
different interfaces,
Yeah,
so
jeez.
We had to transfer everything into his interface. And
Yeah, I
So it
couldn't
was-
really. Yeah.
So, because mine was pretty basic, but
Well, it's great. You got great results. I was so deeply into this other thing that I didn't really want to get away from it. And then I would buy other things that would this will make it even better. I think I bought an Echo thing that because I
We've
found
used
that
it.
we've used it. Yeah, absolutely. And so it's been fun. It's been discovery, and I'm still learning. Every time I sit down, I think, wow, how am I going to do this? Okay. You watch videos on YouTube, you learn
Yeah.
a thing, you apply it, and before you know it, you know it. So I'm still putting in my 10,000 hours, I guess you're supposed to do.
Sounds like me
Then
learning
you'll
to
be a
be a
master.
producer. Yeah.
Yeah, then I'll be a real producer, that's right.
But I think that passion is one of the most, and creativity, being inspired. And we were talking about this. To be inspired is really the key. It's not necessarily what you produce. I don't think. I think it's good to have a product, or I'm not into consumerism per se, but it's good to finish what you started. But I think to have that creativity and feel inspired to want to go, ooh, I want to do this. Not like, oh, I don't want to do this. But for me, collaborating, and this is not the sort of music that I would have been doing really, because it's a bit more, I don't even know what you call it, R&B,
Yeah,
soul.
what have we done here?
We don't know. We don't know
We're trying to figure it out.
We don't know what
It's-
genre it is, but it's not what I have been doing. And it's kind of a nice departure in a way. But it's also been really good for me to let go, which is hard for me to do because I'm obsessive and,
You make it look easy.
compulsive obsessive, I would say. But I've gotten better at just sort of going, okay, You can do that. And then when I get it back, oh yeah, that's great, you know. And I think to have that trust and sort of, we were talking about our process too, and with my other bandmates when I had my band, Big Sexy Music, I never wanted to dictate what other people should be doing creatively with my music. I could give them a parameter of like, this is the vibe and this is, you know, kind of what's going on, and they could do anything within that.
That's really wonderful. I think you get the best work out of someone when they do have that freedom.
Yeah, I think people have so much to offer, and I feel like sometimes because you think you know best or whatever, you kind of dictate. But then I think if you just let people unfold, then you'll get very surprising results, and then you might go in a direction that you weren't maybe planning, but it might be a way better direction than what you were planning. So you always know where you're going, but if you invite others to kind of be part of the process, you might go somewhere way better.
And where are you along the process of completing this album?
We're nearly ready to. We've been handing over some of the files to get mastered, so we're just
Right.
kind of in a dialogue with them at the moment about some certain frequencies that we're obsessed
So
with.
we're in that process.
We're
with
in
the
the
guy
frequency
who's doing
process.
the mastering. We've selected someone we think is very good, and we're in that process. So
Roger's in dialogue with him, and they're working out their frequency ranges. Not enough high ends.
well, yeah.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, it's very minor at this point, right?
So do you think within the next 3 to 6 months
Oh, yeah.
that we'll be able to hear
I
the
think
complete
within the
album?
next 3 months,
Yes.
easily.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We had a deadline for to go meet with him in person, but he got sick, and we've been running around. So and we don't want to rush it. Like there's
Right.
no rush. We want it to be done so that when we listen to it, we don't go, oh, I wish we had done that,
Yeah.
because
I
it will
wanna
be there.
able to that's exactly right.
Because you know, I think as we were speaking on the phone, when you start a project, you have so much energy, so much zeal. Midway, you're kind of zealing and kind of going, oh, I'm over this now. And then at the end part, that's when you're like, I can't actually be bothered with this anymore. I'm just going to scrap it. So you either kind of don't finish it properly, or you finish it in a way where you're not. Like in my other albums, I hear things like, oh, I wish I had fixed that, because I heard it then and I hear it now. And I think it's good to have inconsistencies in a way, because you go, oh, I made that, and it's human. Because I don't want to make pop music where it feels like it's manufactured to that. I want it to have some kind of
Soul.
humanness to it. So in a way, it's kind of nice to throw a little something in there. But
yeah. Well, what you gave me has plenty of soul. I mean, I just was floored. I mean, just your vocals, the writing, everything about it it's just loaded with soul. So
She's a wonderful performer.
I would put in mostly bass lines, you know, that I would probably hear on, you know, old R&B records.
yeah,
You know,
Interesting.
like that's what excites me, and that's what
And
fits what she was doing. So
And
yeah.
what music platforms will you release your music on that we can all hear about it?
it'll be on Spotify and all those places. Yeah.
Very good.
Well, we hope that it's going to be on vinyl.
Oh yeah, I'm going to print it on vinyl.
Oh
Yeah,
We
my!
think it should be.
Oh, it will be. I'm
I
going to
think
print
it
it on
would
vinyl. I'll
be
send you
really,
one for sure.
really good.
Of
What,
course.
any color in mind, like
She
pink?
has.
Yes. Oh, I think it's going to be clear or
How
white.
did you know?
Something.
Absolutely.
But I'll send you one for sure.
Oh,
The artwork's already done.
Yep. We're,
really?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
And
ready.
did I guess the right color?
You did.
That's so exciting.
Yeah,
I
I
got
think
it.
we wanted to. Well, it's a vanity thing too. I wanted to hear it on vinyl because I just thought, how cool would that be? So I saw someone in Australia that's going to. As soon as it's done, I'll be sending it all over to get printed.
Your profile photo, is it in that color of pink?
That's it.
That's it.
That's the cover.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
All right.
Baby pink.
I did a promo on my social media today for your upcoming,
That's- That's it.
wonderful, beautiful,
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
very good.
Oh, and people like it. People. We had a listening party, which I didn't know what that was until I put one on.
So
you know? It's
you
like,
organize one.
Let's have a listening party. Okay, whatever that is. Never been to one really, but I mean, we used to sit around and listen to records when we were younger. But this was a listening party. I had to invite people. There was food, and yeah, we just played the whole thing, beginning to end, and people loved it.
Fabulous.
They were I mean, it was like they were transfixed. A lot of them were like really excited about
That's
what
great.
they were hearing.
It did feel like an AA meeting.
It did have that.
It was
but
like
you got up and performed, which,
I
which
sang
I thought
to the track.
she can't sit still. She, you know, I had a live mic here. And she
You have a
was
6-year-old,
away.
right, at home?
So,
There's no sitting
yeah.
around.
He came to the party,
Yeah,
but
it was a
it
lot.
did feel somewhat awkward. Just I think because of the personal.
Well, everyone was sort of sitting around.
It-
It
everyone
was
was-
it was unusual. It was like a meeting of some
It was
sort.
it was a meeting.
But people were respecting what they were hearing, and they were into what
They
you
did.
were doing.
They listened very intently.
So there
and
was a little bit of like self-consciousness, and because we'd never done this before, and now it wasn't really produced any further than that. Set up some chairs, get
Some
the
friends.
get the music, invite some friends. That's it. So
it was well received.
Was
it
that a recording
was.
studio?
People had
It
not
was at-
very good things to say about
At
it.
Gramercy Rehearsal Studios,
Okay,
a friend
that's
of
where I was.
ours, she just
Yeah,
started.
Jamie, who
she
runs
started a rehearsal studio. It's really nice. So
Yeah.
it's a great room.
It was wonderful.
It's a rehearsal studio, but she's using it for live stuff, and it's
Wonderful.
really nice. So
Wonderful.
it was really fun, and I think you know, not having a band it's interesting because you know you don't have that to hide behind. You don't have that wall of sound to kind of hide behind. Whereas I feel like at the listening party it was very exposed, and also because of the nature of the material was so kind of personal.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like
Yeah.
oh, and you know, when Zandrina listened to the album back to front, you know, we listened to it together, and she was like, "Whew, that's salty." You know, like I'm glad that you're not talking about me. And I was like, oh. And then I thought, oh God, maybe I've said too much. But then I thought, no, it's good. Sometimes you just gotta Taylor Swift it.
That's right.
Do a Taylor.
There you go.
Any last thoughts? Conversation you want to have about the album? Life? Words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom. I think, you know, it's interesting going from New York, where everything's possible. You can make it there, you can make it anywhere, and having such an amazing dynamic experience, and then going back to the place you came from, you know, and the people that you grew up with, they've lived their lives, you've lived your life, and in Australia, people aren't very impressed by each other. They don't care what you've gone off and done at all. So, you know, no one sort of cares about what I've done, which is fine, you know, but it's very kind of strange to go from this experience and then go back to that. But one thing I do realize, how lucky I am to be able to have this experience in my life, to be an artist and just go for it, you know, and yeah, I think to have the freedom of thought to be able to be like, no, I'm not going to do that, like go and get married and have a house and do all that. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm going to go do this. And people were saying, why are you doing that? You know, but still going, no, I'm going to do it. And then, you know, everything kind of works out and you can do it, you know. Not to say that, not to disparage anyone else's choices, but I think there's a certain expectation that you do this kind of conventional thing, where I'm from anyway. I just love to not be conventional. Not in a rebellious way, but just like, oh, actually, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to think like that. And I think to be able to be fully creative is just, you know, how lucky, you know, and I feel like...
Especially to be in New York and around very many like-minded people.
And intellectuals and the art and the
that
scenes.
appreciate and learn from it, too.
And that are also striving to, you know, whatever, better themselves or, you know, do other things and have that intellectual dialogue. It's very exciting. And I think, like, I was even talking to my hairdresser just then about passion. And, you know, you could do the job, but if you don't have a passion and you don't have that kind of creativity, and even she said, when I see your hair, I have a vision. And I'm like, it's that visioning. And I feel like in the job I'm in right now too, it's kind of about visioning. And I feel like the strength of like having that creative sense is that you can create something that doesn't exist. And it's the same thing, you know, you have to go through the same processes where it didn't exist before, but you know, you kind of build it and then suddenly it exists. And that's that's magical, you know, to be able to create like that. Not just music or whatever, but anything, you know, like I want to do this, and then you go, okay, well, I'm going to do it. And I feel like a lot of people might not feel emboldened to do that, or express themselves even.
Do you get recharged when you come back to New York? Because you're coming back almost every year, right? For a period of time, almost a month,
Yeah,
right?
well, you have to, but yeah. No, I feel so lucky to come back. Obviously, it's a huge trek. It gives me an insight into what I was. I mean, I guess I still am, but like, I feel...
You can see it more objectively as opposed to being in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think also like just to see the enormity of, I don't want to say my touch, but like, you know, like I know people from all over, and I feel like I have brought a lot of people together over my time, and just to sort of see the, as I was saying before, the webs of communities that I've been involved in, and I've always supported a lot of other musicians and, you know, been part of it in that way. So I feel like that's really special, and I would love to make a documentary about it, you know, like I feel like it's just so cool. When I go back there, I just feel like mum, you know, I pick up the kid, make dinner, and I love all that. Like there's, you know, I don't begrudge my situation. I feel like I'm so lucky that I did so much in New York. Like I spent 15 years doing everything I could. You know, I got 2 master's degrees, I made like 5 albums, ran around, met everyone. But as I said to my son, you know, when I got home at night, I always felt like something was missing. Something was not, I wasn't truly fulfilled even though I was doing everything. So my son has brought me that level of fulfillment. And because I use my time so wisely, like I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
Right.
I don't feel like I need to prove anything. Because my friends are like, why don't you do art? And why don't you do that? And why don't you do this? I'm like, done it.
Well, I follow you
that.
through social media, and it's really wonderful to see your influence on your child, because you already have him drawing, you already have him on guitar and drums.
And he's amazing on the drums, my God. Like
Oh.
this time, since we've been here, he's had the opportunity to play drums several times. And the last time at the house with Anne, he did this. I said, take me on a journey with your drums. Like, take me on the journey, think about the patterns and build it up. And my God, he did like a 40-minute like.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
And I was just like.
On a real set of drums?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he was so good. So good. And then at the end, he's just like, how was that? And I'm like, amazing.
Yeah.
So he's really musical. His timing is amazing. Again, he's a life lover. He loves life, and he's so into it. And I think he's taught me also, because I have a tendency, I can get really grumpy. You know, I think like artistic types, you're so internal, you're always brooding and making things. It's like a storm, electrical storm in your mind all the time. You know, and suddenly you're, I'm going to do that. And you tend to be very self...
Is that why I love all you people?
Yeah, because you're in like your own creative storm, right? At all times. The daydreaming, the supposing.
Yeah.
And then it's a very internal world. And I feel like, you know, you're an extrovert and then you're an introvert. And, you know, you do your things that seem extroverted, but you're not really engaging on that level. You're still doing this. And then you got the stage as a sort of safety net, because you don't have to be out there. And then you go back into your shell and you start doing this again. But with a kid, obviously you can't do that because you have to be with them and you have to be present with them. So I'd kind of get grumpy if I couldn't get what I wanted to do. So I'd be like, but then I just realized one day, I'm choosing to be grumpy. I actually can just enjoy this for what it is. And so Lucas, my son, you know, he's really taught me just to kind of be more in the moment. I'm always trying to be more in the moment with him because he's so in the moment. And I'm always kind of off in the past or the future or worrying about some abstract stuff that doesn't exist. So, you know, he kind of draws me back into that. And actually, when we were collaborating, you know, Roger would send me a new mix. I would listen to it with Lucas.
Yeah.
And he would say, oh yeah,
something.
I really like it.
Yeah, I wanted to know if Lucas dug it.
And then he went and he would go get his keyboard out and he'd start, you know, it always inspired him.
Really?
He knows all the words to all my songs. And sometimes like I'll post something, I'm like, oh, no one cares about my music. And he goes, I care. I care. I love your music. So he's, but he also told me I can only make 2 more albums, and that's it.
Oh, he's cutting you
'Cause
off.
he-
They
Oh,
take,
all right.
they take too long, apparently.
Oh, all right.
He said, no, they take too long, Mum. And they do. Like, I don't think anyone realizes how long they can take. They can take
Because that's one of
years.
my questions too. What's this process? Is it?
Yeah, it takes forever.
It sounds like 3, 4, maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
Four.
Lucas is 6 now.
6, yeah.
Yeah, so
I probably started it's probably been, like 4 years from Where to Go. And some of the songs I had written, I had lyrics before this, and I thought they apply. So I kind of just added them in. So that was good too, to kind of revisit them in a different way. And then,
And I like the artistic process where you're doing it for yourself, and then it keeps growing, and then you see this project that's here, and now you need help with it to
finish it. I think you get so blinded by close distance. You need, and even when like we don't listen for a while, we'll go back and go, you can hear things
Yeah.
differently, and you got a bit of perspective.
I think that's why we wanted to have it mastered by someone else
Yes,
too.
we needed like someone outside
Yeah.
that maybe doesn't have the history.
what would he do different than what you've already done? He, she.
Not much.
Well,
Is it like a
he
final?
he packages it
So it's all
and makes it
consistent.
as loud as possible, which is
And
very
consistent.
tricky. Yeah, and consistent. Yeah.
So that they're
and
all
he'll-
kind of us.
Yeah, he'll balance out the sort of the all the different frequencies that you're hearing. He'll have a better balance on that usually, and then just make it louder. Like package it,
Yeah.
and then in different ways so that it'll work best on a CD with this version, best on vinyl with this other version.
That's really interesting to
Yeah.
know that.
Different.
And
And what about digital too?
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
different digital.
I don't know how much different, but I'll find
We'll
out,
find out.
because I'll be working with him. He has a very good room in a great studio, and he has tons of experience. So very excited about that. And I'm sorry you can't be there in person. However, he works with people in Australia regularly, and he has like a Zoom setup.
We'll dial in.
Yeah, we can.
But I trust you.
Well, but you'll be there.
I will.
You'll be able to.
In one form or another.
But I agree.
But it's been amazing to work kind of like
Remotely.
and then suddenly be in the room together, and that was really cool. It's really I think it's amazing to sort of see the progression and where it starts, and then the relationship that develops and the dialogue, and then you've got this other side of it where it's finished, and then you're like, what's next? So we're gonna do maybe some new stuff, but be more intertwined from the start. So it's not just me sending stuff at the
Okay.
beginning, but maybe us
Have a
together
collaboration.
creating stuff.
Yeah, that should be very exciting.
Because I know on social media I have Facebook friends, and to meet them in person, it's like, wow, you're really real.
Yeah.
You're real. That's a nice. I think
Yeah.
it's
I had that with my yoga teacher training during COVID. We were all learning through Zoom,
Right,
and
right.
and finally we were able to all meet at a reunion down in Virginia, and
That's
it was
nice.
really, really exciting to meet people in person. But you guys all knew of each other prior to that, but you had never worked with each other.
I think also, like as you were saying before about New York, I think since I've been here, I haven't thought about my work. I haven't thought about anything in Australia. And it's so diametrically different. You can't exist in two places at once. And when I'm there, I think about New York all the time, obviously, and I think about all the things, but I'm there, so I can't. It's not. There's no point in wistfully wondering and hoping, but yeah, it's always good to come back just to go, oh, that's right, I did all this stuff, and it also kind of gears me up to what I want to do next, which is I'd love to put on some kind of play or performance, like very theatrical, not necessarily a play, but just a different presentation than what I've done. I had one show at Don't Tell Mamas back in the day, like in a more Broadway-esque kind of
Interesting.
venue, It was amazing. We did a great show there, and the sound, and it was just a little bit more pared down, not dive bar, but you know, a real room. Not that I love all the stuff we've done, you know, and all the places we've played, but I just feel like something a bit more dramatic. So that's kind of what I want to edge towards.
Well, I think baby mama drama kind of lends itself to that. I've always been excited about the idea of doing it live somehow.
Yeah.
Performing all this stuff live. Who would we get to, you know,
Do
play the
it.
keyboard parts? Who could pull off those bass parts?
Yeah.
You're ready to go, but we need
Yeah.
at least 2 backup singers
Yeah.
that have got to really do a lot of work.
And if we were
you know.
staying, if I was staying here, we would be putting that into full effect. But maybe I'll apply for some funding in Australia.
There you go.
There you go, right.
Bring you out to Australia.
Hey, yeah, road trip.
No,
for all of
apparently
us.
the exchange rate
Oh no! Oh, for you.
is wonderful for me.
Yeah, good time for you to go.
I can live cheaper there than I can here,
Yeah,
apparently.
bad time for me
Yeah.
to come here though. Damn.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, it was just so fun having a conversation, roundtable talk. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us. Always great to see you.
Yeah,
So
Thanks
nice
for coming in, meeting you. Yes.
wonderful to meet you.
I feel like we've been friends for a
know.
long time.
Well, you know, I'm always inspired by all the stuff you do too, like that you're always at Pilates and yoga and all your jaunts around the city, and you're always out and about, which I love. I think, you know, despite social media's, you know, some of its downfalls, it does give you a window in, and sort of, it's nice to kind of keep up with everyone. And
Yeah, I take a lot of pictures of my walks around New York City.
I love it.
And it's inspired some of my friends to come visit me because they
Yes.
wanted
Oh,
to
that's great,
experience.
yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And today I took a picture of the Washington Square Christmas tree, and I said, "Oh, it's still up." And so someone wrote in, "It's King's Day, and it'll probably come down after today because it's 10 days after Christmas or something." And I never knew that.
Yeah.
So it's fun. But that it allows people to see what it's like living in the city.
Yeah.
But it has inspired at least, I don't know, almost a dozen people to come in and visit me. So it's
that's
kind of
great.
a little
See, you're
alter,
inspired.
you know.
Why-
So anyway.
Yeah, I think it's important to share your enthusiasms, you know, and I think if it comes from a place of joy and inspirational, I feel like that inspires others. You know, I like to be. I think of it as like colourful. Like,
Yeah.
it's nice to live a colourful life. You know, black and white, very nostalgic, but full colour.
Yeah, I have a Facebook friend that does a lot of hiking upstate, and it connected me into other Hudson Valley Facebook pages and other photographers that take pictures throughout, you know, the state of New York. Just absolutely beautiful. And I actually got to go on a hike recently, and I
Oh,
got
neat.
to experience something I would never ever imagine that I would be doing. But
Yeah.
you know,
I have a
social media.
friend who leads those hikes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he goes up, he rents a van and drives a
Oh,
van
really?
load of people up, and they spend the day.
Well, I want to know
hiking
who
around.
that is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll get that information.
Great, great, great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's always great to see you.
You too.
You're fabulous as
Yeah,
always.
Oh, you too.
Thanks for having us. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
a gift.
you.
And also, if you want me to edit together some kind of montage,
Yes.
yeah, I can do that.
Fabulous.
Because you know I'm an editor.
Fabulous.
What's
fabulous.
what do you use here?
Let me finish the show.
Cut that. Cut that out.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in this afternoon's show of Ginger New York, and with Emma Z and Roger.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Wonderful. Yay.
Bye.
Bye. See you next time.
Bye.
Great. 58 minutes. We got 60 minutes, so we have good material.
I think you've got great material.
Yeah, I think we have a couple of shows out of it. Roll in some music and
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Gotta play some music.
Yeah. We're going to make a
So-
little montage for her, so we'll put the track and almost.
Let's get closer together so we have a group shot. Yay!
All right.
Oh, I don't want to leave
All
tomorrow.
right. Very
I
good.
want to go tomorrow. So disappointed about that flight too.
Why?
Oh, because on the
So
way back it's
long.
longer.
Oh, my
So it's like
I know.
6.5 hours to San Fran. On the way over it was 4.5. and then it's on the way over it was 13.5. On the way back it's 16.5.
Gee whiz. Is it layover or is it?
Yeah, layover
Oh.
in San Fran.
In San Francisco. Up for overnight or just a few hours?
Just for
Oh,
like
God.
straight back on. I don't know why I always do that shit.
Well, it's the
Because
cheapest.
I know.
Yeah.
It's the,
Yeah, it
it's
is.
the cost.
And who wants
Oh,
to hang around?
Yeah.
Like I just want to get to where I'm going.
Hold on just a second. Let me call Rich. You
Well, that was
guys,
fun.
let's do a photo of you two.
Definitely.
Let me get this chair out of the way.
This can come off now, right?
Not yet. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Didn't you study sound?
I noticed I had my cards on the
sort of.
table through
I
the
mean,
show.
The physics of sound is all I studied.
Oh,
So I know that math. Right.
interesting.
Well, I really enjoyed the show today,
Oh,
everyone.
so much fun.
So, yeah. Do you have here? Oh, I want you to have a picture. I want
Yeah,
you
yeah.
to. Uh-huh.
Yep.
If the two of you can get
Okay,
closer
there
to.
we are.
And very good. That's a nice shot. And then one other thing.
Yes, sir.
You have when you were leaning over, I saw a big portion of your chair, like
nice.
here. So I want to get another one with it. I like the
Oh,
the
this
closeness. Yeah,
Okay, so like over here. Yeah, I'll spin my chair around it. Is that better?
that's what I like. Yeah,
Can you see it less? Yeah.
I can see more. And then take a look at. Okay, and on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay!
Yay.
Oh, you don't know how much stuff I have to pack. It's horrible. Horrible.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do
don't
with
think about
I
it.
don't want
Just
all that
do
shit.
it.
I don't want any of that. What the fuck am I gonna do with all that shit?
It's too late. You already
Rich?
said it. Right? Yeah, so you're done. with that.
I'm done with that shit. I'll see what fucking use the other stuff.
Yeah,
How do you
have
keep
to-
the door
you have
open?
to pack your luggage and his
I've
stuff.
done half of it.
Oh, that's good.
How do I keep the door
Last
open?
time I had a sauna, I had a bath. I was like, and then I couldn't sleep.
Because, yeah.
Oh, I started thinking about work. And then today I read all my work emails and I
Oh,
was like,
shit.
Uh,
No, that
you know,
was
when you're just like,
for
oh.
2 weeks or
Yeah,
month? No.
that's
Well, there's only a couple things I need to be worried about, but I was just like, fuck me. You know, when you just think, why did I do that? I should have just waited until Monday.
They're going to be really glad that you're back, though.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. They've been treading water the whole time while you're
Oh, they've
gone.
been-
I'm pretty sure about
sure.
that.
Oh,
Right.
Who knows what they're doing?
Right.
They want to.
They don't even know what they do.
They don't
right?
know what the hell they're doing.
They want to get in a HR company and redo everyone's job description. Oh my god.
Oh my God.
What a
yeah.
nightmare.
If sandbags here.
What a nightmare.
Is this yours or hers?
That's hers.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure. I've
Oh,
never
it's so
done
nice.
anything quite like this.
It's so cool. I'm glad that we got to do this.
Yeah.
And last time we did one with Charles,
Oh, neat.
and Zandrina. So this was, I just thought, she contacted me, and I'm like, oh yeah, we could talk about the album. That's a great idea.
Yeah, you did great, actually. It was-
Shut up. Bloody shut up. It's yummy, yummy, yummy.
Now you have a lot to say.
I do.
Obviously.
Well, I feel like it's an interesting process, you know, to create art. And I think when you talk about it, it kind of like solidifies some of your choices. Or the process. Where's my water?
Are you buying more stuff?
Oh, still getting presents. Can I have a bottle of water?
Pardon?
Can I have a bottle of water?